Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. And I'm going to go ahead and take time out here for a moment and answer this question. A lot of people ask me, Pastor Dowell, what motivates you? What keeps you going? And how do you continue to keep going? What is it? Now, I'm going to answer this question, but I need for you to hear me out because some of you, because of the way you've been conditioned, may be offended. But I hope that my answers will provide motivation. Not only motivation, but a life change for you. There are a few things you need to understand. And you need to understand this. Nobody likes being criticized. Nobody does. As a matter of fact, as soon as someone criticizes you, as soon as someone judges you, the first thing that you would do, based on human nature, is immediately shut your ears, shut down, make light of it, and then turn and walk away and never even to think about it again. Sometimes if people tell you that you can't not do something, we just usually accept that without putting forth any effort whatsoever at all. I have many sayings when you listen to me over and over and over again that I say, if I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. If somebody's pushing against you, then have enough spirit in you to push back against them. I'm not personally making anybody out of enemies because even your own mind and conscience can push against you and keep you from different things. I'm no different than any other human being. It's just that whenever I meet resistance, I fight against it. And I fight against it very hard because I've learned over the years that resistance in any shape, fashion, or form is trying to keep me in a certain level of condition. There's an old saying that whatsoever that does not kill you only makes you stronger. And in this world, there are people that's trying to kill your will. There's people who are trying to kill your direction, your motivation in what you're doing. There are people who are designed to cast doubt and they're negative about everything. You have to get to a certain level of maturity to where you can take constructive criticism and not take it personally. If it applies to you, listen to what someone says, whether they be for you or against you, and do a real good assessment, an honest, truthful assessment of yourself. Because if they be for you or against you, is irrelevant. You need to understand and be truthful about yourself if it applies. If it applies, now you have an opportunity to make change. Now you have an opportunity to go in a different direction. But you have to have a work ethic. Do you hear what I said? And my flesh, your flesh, anybody else's flesh, it doesn't want to work. It doesn't have a work ethic. As a matter of fact, there's even an unspoken communication that does not have force of breath or life that continues to speak to us all the time, whether it's by feeling or an emotion or just a way that we've been accustomed to in some form of communication that keeps us continually in a state of being apathetic, in a state of always making excuses, and in a state of never persevering and overcome. If you ever get reproved or rebuked, have enough integrity of heart within your own self to not look at the person who's doing the correcting and the instructing as an enemy. That's an opportunity. See, this is all has to do with your outlook and your view on life. That's an opportunity for you to really, truly step back for a moment, look in the mirror, and see if it applies. If it's the truth, it's not necessary that you have to actually really say something to someone, but if it's the truth, then what you need to do is go ahead and acknowledge it. Let me get this phone. I'll be right back. But no matter where you are in life, if you have the will and the perseverance to succeed, no matter what it is, and overcome, you can do it. You can do it. But first, before any good structure or any building is built, it first has to be tore down all the way to the foundations. And many of us have never, ever experienced being tore down. And I do know this, when you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and when you had enough of enough, you will make a change. If you're not sick and tired and you haven't had enough, you'll stay in the same old condition, continually keep making the same old excuses, and never push back or fight against, whether it be the pain that you may be experiencing. If you get knocked down, you'll bellyache while you're sitting there on the ground. And you'll be waiting for somebody to come and pick you up rather than trying to do everything you can to get up yourself. And you see, these are principles that I've learned to live by, but my sole source and motivation is the creator of the universe. That's the reason why I'm a pastor. Unlike what you've all experienced out there, I am a student of the Bible. I read it, I believe it, and I've actually applied what I've learned from that Bible to my life. As a matter of fact, my whole entire life is centered and focused around what I've learned from the Bible. And I found the Bible to be true. Now, will people disagree with me? Sure they will. Because if they don't understand and know what I know about the Bible, they're going to disagree. And people are going to have differences of opinion. But Almighty Yahweh, He is my sole purpose and my motivation. The Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, for what I do. Because He paid it all. He did it all. And it's the least I could do, as long as I have breath in my body, to also pay it all and give it all. And that's just the way that I view things and see things. You have to understand, belief is not meant to assent. You see, that's the way that we have structured our mindset in our lives in this society. We think salvation is predicated upon just saying, I agree, meaning I believe. But belief, right belief, is always equated in right action. If you say you believe and yet you do not have the right action behind what you believe, then your belief is vain. Because anybody can mentally assent to anything. Anybody can take a thought, which is abstract, and then mentally say they believe something and not put any action with it whatsoever at all. So it depends on how you also view things and look at things when you read them. For instance, in the Bible, I read Hebrews the 11th chapter, which has to do with the faith chapter. And raised over here in America, faith is something that you mentally believe. That's their definition of it. But since the Bible is an Eastern book, and when I look at the way that they believe, their belief was always equated in right action. They showed you what they believed by what they done. Not by what they said, but by what they done. And it's the same thing in this life today. The reason why people can trust what I say and look at this, believe what I say, is because there's right action that backs up the belief. Not just words, but action. There's a living example sitting right in front of them. And that example can't be denied, especially if you come and you travel from far and you see that everything that I say and I talk about, and here on this camera, you can see the evidence of it. You can see the belief of it physically. You can see it. And that right there solidifies to people, and that gives them inspiration to believe the right way as well. So when I read Hebrews the 11th chapter, I always notice that in that chapter that is often called the faith chapter, that these people's lives was often measured in what they believed by what they done. You hear that? What they believe by what they've done. When you go read Hebrews 11 and see that their belief caused them to respond right. It caused them to do right. It wasn't like we've been raised over here in this society where you say you believe something and you mentally go, or it's wrapped up in a feeling and an emotion which has no substance, none whatsoever at all. And I've learned those principles at a very early age. So usually when people first hear me, they will experience a letdown. Most people will get angry, they'll get mad, and they'll get upset. It's only that if they have enough perseverance in them, that if they have enough integrity of heart in them to go back and push that button and listen to my words in that video again, and then if they start considering what I'm saying, they find out that I'm not against them. I'm not against anyone. I'm actually for you. But it's hard to motivate a person that isn't motivated. It's hard to inspire a person that has no reason for living, no inspiration whatsoever at all. So whether you be in a wheelchair, if you have one leg or one arm, or if you're 400 or 500 pounds overweight, my first approach to you is not going to be what you want to hear. But if you stick with listening to what I'm saying, you're going to find out that I am encouraging you and motivating you and in ensuring you that you can overcome every obstacle in your life. It isn't killing you. You're still breathing. So guess what? You're stronger, and you can be stronger. But you have to work at getting stronger. You can't expect for the seed apart, and you can't expect for things to change in your life if you do not become a doer in what you know to be right. When you start doing, it increases your faith. It increases your insurance. And you'll be wanting to do more. And you'll be wanting to do more. And not only that, when you see that people are paying attention to you and they're listening to you, now you are responsible for those who are watching you to be an example. And in this society, most people don't want to bind themselves by their word. Most people don't want to be an example, because if they be an example, that means they have to live a certain way. They have to live up to the standard. You see, I get on here and I run my mouth. And I run my mouth a whole lot. And I run my mouth because I am sure in what I'm doing and what I believe. And people who listen to me and get it, they will understand this. And they will be emboldened themselves. And it will strengthen them, and it will encourage them. And then they will get out of this mental sense stuff. And you know what they'll do? They will start doing themselves. And in this right action, somebody else will watch them, and it will grow. And it will grow. And they will be encouraged. And as they are encouraged because they know someone is watching them, it will motivate them to drive on even harder, to be a better woman, to be a better man. Yes, it will. It will. It's contagious. There's plenty of room for excuses. There's very, very few people here on this earth that is actually fallen down and against wind and tide, against all condemnation. There's very few people that has said, you know what? I am not staying down, but I'm getting up. I'm getting up. I'm going to dust myself off. I'm going to change. And I'm not going to let anybody condemn me for nothing. Because when I look at this thing, I'm no better than nobody else. And nobody out there is in any condition whatsoever at all to condemn me of anything. And since I know that, not only do I know it, I don't let any voice that rises up against me in judgment affect me whatsoever at all. I'm going to continue to keep doing what I know what is right. And I'm going to continue to keep inspiring and motivating others. And I'm going to be a living example for everyone that listens to me. Makes no difference whether you be for or against, pro or con. No matter what, I'm going to continue to keep improving even as I age. I'm going to continue to keep driving on. And I hope that this spirit that I'm displaying and this attitude sinks deep down in your heart. And you become a better man, and you become a better woman yourself, and you don't let anything keep you from doing right. You don't let anything keep you from doing and meeting your goals that you know that you need to meet. Don't let nothing do it, especially your worst enemy that has ever been in this world, which is yourself. I hope that I've given some type of words of inspiration and to help you overcome. Well, these are the principles that I live by. And that's why I read that Bible daily, because I found it to be true when I apply the principles, the truth of it, the word of it in my life. So, hey, there's plenty of negative voices out there. It sure is. But mature enough to learn how to take constructive criticism, see if it applies. If it applies, and remember, If someone is really, truly a good friend to you, those are not the people that always tell you what you want to hear. Those people are the ones who tell you the things you need to hear, no matter how painful that it is, because they love you enough to tell you the truth. I hope y'all encouraged. I hope y'all encouraged, and I hope y'all are inspired. We're going to continue to keep driving on here. We're going to continue to keep growing in grace and knowledge. And I hope that you get something from this, and I hope you're encouraged. Shalom. Oh, and one more thing, YouTube. You have to love people more than they hate themselves.